Welcome to everybody that is here and hopping on right now. We're going to go ahead and get things kicked off officially. Let me make sure I have everything queued up here. Perfect. So I want to go ahead and welcome everyone to our sales, leadership, and development meeting. I'm super excited and fired up to have an opportunity to meet some of you all for the first time. Some of you all I've seen a couple different times. I've got some TLA members that are hopping on here as well. Just to formally introduce myself to everybody, for those that don't know who I am, I assume you do if you're on this meeting, but my name is Andrew Evans. I am the proud division coordinator for the Florida Coast Heat Division. That basically means that I oversee everything from the Miami area up and down the coast of Florida's Tampa, Clearwater, Sarasota, and all the way up into the panhandle of Panama City Beach. To give you guys a little bit of my background, I actually started off with a company back when I was a junior in high school. So at the time, this was my first real professional position. I hadn't done anything too much like this in the past. Did a bunch of odd jobs growing up. This is my first real professional work. And I worked with Cutco throughout my high school years. I graduated and originally started in the Palm Beach office in Jupiter, Florida is where I'm originally from. Does anyone know where Jupiter is? Yeah, maybe. But I'm originally from there. So that's where I grew up. Started in the Palm Beach office, eventually became an assistant manager in our Fort Lauderdale office. Went up to Florida State and went to school there. Cutco helped me kind of pay my way through school. So I worked with Cutco all throughout college, and that was a big portion of me working, was being able to tell, my mom and dad at the time, hey, don't worry about school. I got it covered. And that was a really cool opportunity that Cutco was able to provide for me. During the summers, I was what you call a branch manager. So I'll talk about that a little bit more today, but basically an entrepreneurial internship opportunity with the company. So every summer in college, I went down to a specific area, first in Boca Raton, then 2 more years in Miami. And I'd go open up my own sales internship office for the summertime. I worked with Cutco all throughout school. Once I graduated from college, and while I was in school, for those of you guys that are in school right now, I studied finance, real estate, and entrepreneurship. And when I graduated from college, I had a whole list of different opportunities that I could pursue, almost moved out to LA. But one of the reasons that I decided at the time to become a district manager with Cutco was, I really love the opportunity that the company created for me at a young age. And I really love being able to give back that same opportunity to other young people. Some of you all might know this, but outside of being a division manager, I also manage and oversee 3 other companies beyond Cutco. So really a lot of the skill set and things that I've learned and developed over the years, the vast majority of that came from my experiences from Cutco as a sales rep, as a manager, and as a district manager. And like I said, I love being able to give and provide that same opportunity to other young people. And I really do think it helps impact them regardless of their major, industry, or degree. And after working with Cutco as a district manager for a couple years out of college, I had the opportunity to get promoted to a division coordinator position, which I took at the beginning of 2020 in January. And henceforth, I was kind of tasked with the job of taking what was at the time one of the worst performing divisions in the entire country, and henceforth taking it into one of the top performing organizations, all vector marketing. And by the way, that's exactly what we've done. That's exactly what we're doing. Last week, or the week before last, we were the #1 division in the entire company, and we only have 4 offices operating currently. So, as of the summer of 2021, we'll have close to 25 offices up and down the coast of Florida and all across the region coming from the Florida Coast Division. So I share that with you guys because you're a part of a really exciting and growing team, and we're really excited about what we're building here. I can give you guys a little bit more information on myself, my background, and things like that, maybe a little bit later today. But I want to take a quick second to dive in and welcome you all and being here. I know there's different people from all across Florida. We got some Metro Miami representations of people from Sarasota, Clearwater, as well as our Tampa organization. So I want to go ahead and kick things off, number 1, just by welcoming you all today. Again, if you're hopping on late, make sure in terms of just Zoom etiquette, I know you guys hop on different types of Zoom meetings. This one's probably a little bit different. Like I said, you want to be dressed a little bit nicer for this one, probably in a good place, quiet, where you can take some notes and be able to get the most out of the meeting today. And I asked just that as we get through here, I know a lot of people are in school, classes, things like that, but just make sure that if you're present in today's meeting, if you got an invitation to today's event, because by the way, there's a lot of people that have started working here over the past month or two, but there's only 20 people on this call or so. So you should feel good about getting invited to this event. But I want to make sure that everyone that's here is 100% engaged, ready to rock and roll. And here's a couple things. This is from straight out of the book from Matthew Kelly. Things that leaders that are 100% engaged, what they do. And there's three things you can write down as we kick off today's meeting. Number one, the first thing I think about as we kick off today is leaders that are 100% engaged. They do the things that people that are 100% engaged do. So number one, seek best practices. So the first kind of, I guess, question I have for you is like, you want to ask yourself, hey, am I seeking to do things the absolute best way or the easiest way or the most comfortable way? Are you looking for the absolute best way to do things, or are you looking for, again, the most comfortable or the easiest way to do things? So, leaders that are 100% engaged, they're looking for best practices. What's the absolute best way that I can get the best results out of this? Second thing that leaders that are 100% engaged do is they're hungry for growth. So you can kind of tell who's hungry for growth just by, how many notes people are taking, if they have pen and paper. So, whether you have notes on your laptop and you're setting up that way for today, or maybe it's pen and paper, whatever is best for you. But, being hungry for growth and knowing that there's always another level of opportunity in front of you. And the third thing that leaders that are 100% engaged do is they seek personal clarity. You may have thought that today's meeting was just about how to sell more knives, but it's not. It's about opening up opportunities for yourself, gaining personal clarity, and really getting an idea of what kind of opportunities that you could have during your time here. And some of you all literally started with us just a week or two ago. Some of you all have been here for the past few months, and this is your first opportunity to get invited to a meeting like this. So as we kick things off, I want to welcome you. This is our SLDM, or our Sales Leadership and Development Meeting. And I have a couple objectives that I want to help accomplish here today as we're getting things started. So the first thing I want to be able to do is, number one, to dramatically increase your Cutco sales. I want you all to be coming out of this meeting with a lot more confidence in your ability to sell, a lot more confidence in the Cutco products, and also helping you dramatically increase your sales. And I think we're going to be able to do that one today. Second thing, objective that I have is to help educate you all on future opportunities that you might have here. So, many of you don't even know this, but, 2, 3, or 4 years from now, you could potentially open up a career opportunity here. I want to let you guys know that what exactly is available and what's on the table for that. And the third reason that I run this meeting is for me to help identify future leaders for 2021 and beyond. Like I mentioned, we really are, even though we're performing at a high level, we're a brand new division. And we really are just getting things started here in the Florida coast. So, for me, 2020 is not about 2020. It's about 2021 and beyond. And the people that I'm getting a chance to work with that are at this meeting, if you're at here, it's because your manager has identified you as somebody who, they could potentially build with here in the future. And if you're at this meeting, I'm looking to scout out leaders and people that we can work with, beyond in the future here too. So I'll give you guys a little bit of a background as we get started here today on exactly just what our division is, what we're looking to achieve, and a little bit of background here on the Florida Coast Heat. So one thing that we always talk about, no matter what meeting you're in, you'll probably hear it. You probably heard it already from some of your district managers. But one of our big goals inside of our division is to create 5-star recruits, or create 5-star college graduates. And really what that is, what we mean by when we say that is, if you think about, a 3 or 4-star athlete when they're graduating from college, they have got a pretty good opportunity or a good shot, maybe earning a scholarship or going and playing, somewhere, and they're going to go to events and hopefully get scouted out to go play. But if you're a 5-star recruit, you don't cross your fingers and hope to get scouted out. In fact, all the colleges and the coaches are competing to get you. And I think that's the case for a lot of college students. The 3 or 4-star college students, they graduate and they'll have a good shot getting some jobs in a very competitive job market. They'll do their, natural interview process and kind of see what they can get. But 5-star college graduates, they graduate and they have a lot of opportunities. They graduate and they're highly sought after. They don't go on job interviews. They make a list of the companies that they potentially want to work for, and they go out and interview the companies because the companies already want these people. And that's our goal, is that regardless of what industry you're in, regardless of what your major is, regardless of what you're studying or what your extracurriculars are, our goal is that, by the time that you're done working with us, whether that's, for a fall campaign semester or for the next couple of years throughout college, we want you to be graduating and someone that's highly sought after beyond your college career. So that's kind of our mission here. And I'll give you a little bit of background on our division. I mentioned earlier, we are a brand new division. In fact, 2 years ago, we were actually 2 divisions combined as one. And in 2018, we set out to have we called it an epic year. And we called it epic year 2 or 3 years before that we actually had that epic year. And that was the first time where we really had some top performing managers and leaders emerge. Back at that time, I was in 2018, I was a brand new district manager, and that was the first time I ran my first $1 million sales office, and we were starting to create some epic results down in the Florida area. In 2019, we decided that we were going to take it and scale it out to the rest of the company. And 2020 was all about connecting to our vision of truly what's possible. And at the beginning of 2020, we split off into 2 different divisions to begin to build a legacy even deeper than the original division that it had came from. And 2020, like I mentioned, it's not about 2020, it's about 2021 and 2022. So this is the year where we really connect to the vision of what's possible. And 2021 is where we have an opportunity to dominate the competition. And 2022 is where we elevate it to the rest of the company here. So if you're a part of this division, there's a couple things that I talk about every single meeting that we have. And these are kind of like the 4 anchors, if you will, of the Florida Coast Heat, what it means to be a part of this organization and part of this team. And there's 4 kind of core underlying pillars that we talk about here. The first one, and it's pretty easy to remember because it literally spells H-E-A-T. The first one's a high performance mindset. And if you're taking notes on today, I'll take notes on these 4 things. Number 1 is a high performance mindset. When you're in this division, there's a different mentality. At a lot of places, you might get celebrated, or you might have a lot of people clapping for you or cheering for you because you sold a homemaker set or because you sold a signature set. Here you might get a little bit of rah in your group chat, but it's just a little bit different. Here, people have a standard of high performance. When the Patriots go out and win a Super Bowl, it's not like the craziest thing in the world. When they win a game, they're not celebrating and partying. They're just like that. That's what they're supposed to do. That's the expectation, of that team. And we have the same expectations here. We have a high performance mindset, across the performance from our offices, from the performances of our division, and as individual sales reps. We have a high performance mindset of how we should be doing and performing at the position. If you've ever been in any group chats, you'll oftentimes see a hashtag that's a hashtag DDJ whenever you sell something that's $1,000 or more. What that stands for, by the way, even though it's not phonetically correct, it's doing the job or doing the job. What people are saying that hashtag for is like, yeah, when you sell $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, like, cool. You're just doing the job. It's just it's part of the job. It's an expectation. It's just kind of what we expect here as high performance sales reps. So that's the first thing, is do you have a high performance mindset, in what you're showing up and what you're doing. Second thing is energetic leadership. And what I mean by that is that, look, the one thing you'll learn about sales is that sales is all just energy. The definition of sales is the transfer of enthusiasm from one person to another. Enthusiasm or excitement is just energy. It's just the transfer of one person's energy to another. You're getting them excited about what you're excited about. So the better you can get energetic management and energetic leadership, the better off you're going to be. And one thing that I'll tell you is that the leader in the room is the person that's leading the energy in the room. Yeah, it's not a position. It's not a title. You're not a leader just because you have a title. You're a leader because you're setting the tone for what it means to be a leader in that organization. So anytime that you're showing up to a meeting, even if you don't have an official advancement title, you're not an assistant manager, you can still be a leader in that environment, in that space, even if it's on Zoom, by showing up with the right energy to that environment. Ace Weekly, which, by the way, is also the name of a podcast that I have, if you want to check it out on Spotify or iTunes or anything else like that. I highly recommend doing that. We interview different entrepreneurs and CEOs and executives as such. But what that really means, what that stands for is look, anyone can do something one time. Anyone can have a big fast start or a big sales day or even a big appointment. It takes a true champion to be able to get those results over and over and over again. You know, I think about the Heat that just lost and, you know, losing to LeBron, and LeBron's a good example in this situation of someone that, you know, he's a cleaner. He's someone that is able to not just get the results one time, but over and over and over again, no matter what team he's facing or what obstacles he has in its path. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm a big Heat fan. I'm kind of salty about it. But nonetheless, you know, when I think about someone that's able to be consistent with the results, to me as a division manager, you know, someone going out and selling $1,000 a week and doing that every single week for 6 weeks straight is a lot more impressive than someone dropping $3 or $4 grand in one appointment. A lot more impressive to be consistent with your results and build up long-term sustainable habits versus, you know, being in and out. And the last thing is true professionalism. And when I say that, just look, when I mean true professionalism, yes, I mean, maybe it's coming, you know, being prepared, professional etiquette on Zoom meetings, all that stuff is great. What I mean is, like, if you were trained to be, you know, a player in the NFL, or if you're trained to be a doctor or a lawyer, you know, the way that you show up to your practices, the way you show up to your medical school classes, the way you show up to, you know, your law school classes, it's just different when you know that you have a goal to be a professional at what you're doing. And so, you know, I don't ask for people
to work right now.
Yeah. So, by the way, guys, I'm just going to let you know ahead of time.
So the guy, I'm not home.
Who is unmuted? Just a quick heads up, by the way, guys, if you don't have your cameras on for today, I am going to take you out of the meetings too. So I'll give everyone a quick second to get their cameras on and be ready to rock and roll and be engaged in the meeting. But you do need that on here to participate today. So, but the last thing I was saying on the notion of true professionalism is just coming and showing up, not necessarily putting more work or time or energy into it, but when you're here, showing up and really bringing your A game and training and acting as if you were a true professional. Because, by the way, there's a lot of people that do the exact same job as you, and we'll talk about that a little bit today, and they make, you know, 6 figures to, you know, well above 6 figures a year. Doing the same job, same commission structure, same payments. They just do it at a professional level, which is why we have a lot of students that make some really good income. But the difference, you know, is not the job, it's not a position, it's not a pay bump. It's just the way that they treat the job and treat the position. Some people treat it like a student job and part-time, which is great. And there's other people that treat it like professionals. And I think you guys can learn a little bit of those elements, even if you are working part-time, to be able to increase your income and then your success in the role. So I'll take a quick second to open up the floor here a little bit. And in the SLDM group chat that you guys should all be a part of at this point in time, throughout the day, I'm going to ask anytime that you have a light bulb moment. And a light bulb moment for me is just maybe you have a takeaway or an aha moment. Maybe it's about future opportunities. Maybe it's about something you can change in your sales processes. I want you guys to just take a quick second and you can post it into that SLDM chat that all of you are inside of. So I'll go ahead and give you guys kind of a quick example here below. But if you have something, oh, true professionalism or flexible schedules, or I should follow the manual, and you have one of those light bulbs, feel free to post it. I want to hear what you guys are taking away from this meeting as we're actually going through it here today. So I'll give a quick second and let me open up on the floor before we even really dive in for the day. Any light bulbs here as we get started that people want to chime in and share? Colin, we'll get 1 or 2.
Honestly, the ACE Weekly, just having that mindset of getting better every single week and not just keeping it your sales as it is, and making sure, like, even just like one demo, like more than what you had this week, like that, I took that out of it.
Awesome. Thanks for chiming in, Kayla. Kayla, when did you start the job, by the way?
I started a few weeks back.
Cool. Awesome. And you're working with Eddie, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. Eddie's great. Eddie, actually, by the way, so one thing people oftentimes will tell you about, like, kind of my bio, is when I was a branch manager in college, I broke the all-time national sales record for branch managers in colleges. And Eddie at the time was my head assistant manager when we first did that. So he started off
about that in training.
Nice. Yeah. So Eddie's a great guy. You're working with a good one over there too. So
definitely
anyone
the
else?
best manager that I've ever had.
Yep. I don't doubt it. Anyone else want to chime in before we get started here? Yeah. Victoria.
Just the energetic leadership, showing up with the energy that you want to receive from people. And it's not always just doing the most, but putting the most effort into what you're doing. So doing the most in the amount of time that you have, not overworking yourself.
Yep. And I love that you mentioned that too, because a lot of y'all are students, you know. So when I say, hey, like show up and perform better, a lot of times people think like put more work in and put work harder work. And the reality, guys, is that look, it's not just working hard, it's working smart too. You know, it's showing up and being prepared. It's the level of energy that you bring with things. And hard work is important. But you know, if the hardest working people were the highest paid people, then you know, construction workers, people in the military, like all of them would be the wealthiest people. But that's not necessarily the case because there's another element involved in there too. So hard work's important, but also it doesn't necessarily mean you need to put extra hours into the job. It just means, hey, how can you get the most out of the job when you're putting those hours in too? So awesome. Well, we'll dive in for a little bit. I want to kick things off by starting off today with a little bit about the opportunities that you might have during your time here. So, you know, I'll give you a quick little plug on kind of some of the steps of the Vector opportunity and really what we're looking for. One of the first things that you'll hear a lot of us talk about across the division is the Leadership Academy. This is really, you guys, a lot of y'all went through sales training. This is the training that I run. This is the Leadership Academy, and this is where we develop all of our future managers and leaders. So for those of you, if you're looking to develop yourself into the next BDOY or the next best version of yourself, and you're looking to continue to develop that, you know, our TLA is basically our Leadership Academy, and it's our version of corporate and leadership growth training. Now, if you go to Nike, if you go to Google, you go to Microsoft, Facebook, any of these companies, they all also have their own version of a leadership development program. This is not something that is, you know, just exclusive to Cutco. What makes us very unique, though, is that those companies are not the #1 student work company in the country. You know, these companies are working a lot of times with people 2 or 3 years, you know, or 20 or 30 years older, and it's a different type of training curriculum versus we're able to impact students and young people during a time period in their life where I think it makes the most impact and difference during that time. So a couple of things that we teach in our Leadership Academy inside of TLA is really management skills, you know, how to manage time. How to get better at time management. You know, everyone has the exact same amount of time, but some people use it a lot better. How to manage money and finances. We're going through, we have, actually I have a book right next to me that we're currently going through in TLA, written by Rachel Richards, who retired when she was like 27 years old on investment income. She's actually a previous Cutco Vector alumni and wrote this, one of his Amazon best-selling books. And she's actually running and teaching our program on money management and finances, which is really great. Some of you all have started to make more money than you're used to, and learning how to not just make the money, but save the money, invest the money, spend the money, give it away are all really good skills to know. Knowing how to manage your own personal energy. And again, sales is really related to energy management of other people. And what we really talk about there is leadership skills and ability. And then most importantly, how to manage yourself, because everything really starts there. So TLA is really an opportunity to help develop yourself, as well as it is the door that opens up all of the other opportunities inside and outside of our company too. So I want to take a quick second to give you a little bit of a walkthrough of some of the steps of the Vector opportunity that you guys have here. And I'll go ahead and send this out to you all right now. So I'm going to go ahead and forward this into the group chat. And let me see here. Oops, I'm going to have to actually send it this way. So if you guys check the Sldm chat, I will forward this document to you all. And let's see here. Cool. 3, 2, 1. And that's a handout. You don't necessarily need to look at it right this second, but I'm going to go ahead and walk through a little bit of the steps of the Vector opportunity and how to get the most of it. So the first step that you need to know is, number one, you've already done it, which is being here at this meeting. And I know that can sound kind of funny, but that really is the first step. Again, there's lots of people that could have been invited to this meeting. I mean, last week alone, I think we trained, 30 or probably 40 to 50 people across the division. And a lot of you all have been here for a couple weeks, months, and not everybody was invited to this meeting. So you should feel good if you were. It's because your managers identified you as somebody who could have potentially a leadership opportunity, here in the future. So that really is step number one, is just being at this meeting. So I want to give you props to doing that. Second step, I think, is just being a team builder. if you want to get into any type of leadership role, being a team builder, I think, is one of the first and foremost skills. It's something that's crucial in management, and it just shows a desire, and hunger to be a part of the organization. And you might be a team builder by, yes, you could throw up some social media posts and things like that. And I'm sure, you've recommended some people in training or something of that sort, to the actual job position. But when we talk about team builders, it's someone that's not just giving names in their phone, but someone that's really excited and active about building the team. I'll tell you right now that you could be a very, very valuable asset to any organization or team when you're someone that is building that team. I think about someone like my fellow division manager, Jeff Gamboa, who also lives in Miami and runs the other part of Florida. He's married to a girl named Heidi, and Heidi is a very, very specialized gastrointestinal doctor at Miami Children's. And the thing about Heidi is when they hired Heidi to that hospital, she's a great doctor, which made her a very valuable asset. But one of the reasons why Miami Children's wanted her so badly is because Heidi was very well connected and knew a lot of other very high performing top doctors from the rest of the Northeast. So they knew, hey, if we can get Heidi, we might actually be able to get multiple other people and other top performing doctors. If I'm in charge of a law firm and I get one attorney that knows some of the other best attorneys and is going to be able to recruit those people to the law firm, that person is a lot more valuable on my team than just any regular old attorney. One of my good buddies, Carlos Cordero, worked with Cutco for 8 or 9 years, and he recently moved over to his role has changed, but to work for the #1 home improvement company in the country. And in his past year and a half since he started working there, he's had his job title changed 4 separate times. Now I believe is the vice president of marketing and sales for the entire company. And now what was just originally more like a lower level job has an equity stake in this firm. And part of the reason is because he's a team builder. They hired Carlos Cordero on. They're like, all right, we're going to start you off by helping us build the Tampa market. And he's like, boom, I'm going to make a couple calls. All right, I already got it done. He's like, you already know people over there? He's like, yep, already got set up. I'm like, all right, well, how about Miami? He's like, all right, boom, couple calls, got people over there. He's like, well, do you know anyone in Texas? And he's setting up people because he's well networked and he's a team builder. He's able to find the right people in the right place. So I think it's just a really, really valuable skill that will be helpful in your time and tenure at Cutco, but I think is valuable regardless of wherever that you go. And so we're looking for team builders. It's a very early indication oftentimes for TLA. And this is kind of like the up until you're at 10K in sales, and I'll just say this, really everything starts at dirty 30. Once you hit dirty 30, that's when the majority of the opportunities as a sales representative really open up. In fact, in my opinion, selling your first 10K is just about kind of learning the fundamentals of the position. Until you're at 10K in sales, you're really just like a basic level, just kind of learning the ins and outs of the job. And once you're at 10K in sales, though, there's kind of different 3 levels of the job, which, some people it's selling $1,000 a weekly basis, which, if you're a full-time student working part-time and you're selling $1,000 a week, but you're making 30 to 50% commission level, it can be nice to make an extra $300 to $500 on your paycheck a week. From a lot of you all, it's only taken 6 or 7 demos to knock out $1,000 in sales, on the high end. And then some people are selling and performing at a little bit of a higher level. When you think about certain people, we have certain CSPs in our company that are selling a lot more than that. But really everything starts when you hit dirty 30. But there's some other opportunities between 1K and 10K that you should probably know about. So at 1K in sales, that was the requirements to be invited to this meeting that you're currently at. So we want to welcome you on being here. And this is kind of like the official time that you can start networking with the division manager once you're at 1K in sales. So if you haven't received my phone number yet, I'll make sure you get that by the end of the meeting so you can start kind of communicating with me. Once you're at 3K in sales, you can be invited to a local Wednesday TLA prep or a TLA meeting. So you won't be officially in TLA, but you can start to kind of hop on some of those meetings and check in and get some of the goods with some of our other TLA candidates and members and still kind of get some of the learning and access to the stuff that they are accessing to. You won't get access to the full-blown monthly TLA preps, but the weekly ones you do. And we also have key staff meetings every single Saturday. And so at 3K in sales is the first time you can be invited on to our key staff program that we have here in the office. And really key staff is the first kind of indicator for people that are in TLA. Once you're on key staff, you can typically make bets and one-on-one agreements with your managers. There's a lot of other perks that come from it, and you get extra one-on-one coaching and growth that you have access to each and every single weekend by being on key staff. The first real, I guess, leadership opportunity and role that you can have in an office learning organization is as an assistant manager intern. And assistant manager interns, this is a position that is not a significant time requirement. It's not a lot of extra work on the plate, which is why it's a really cool opportunity for people that are in school, taking classes in the fall and spring. But it does give you some really good management experience. You get a chance to learn really a lot of what the other assistant managers are really doing. I think about people that become AMIs after, a month or two of starting the job, really in a couple months are seriously leveling up and developing the resume, both on the sales side and also now the management experience that they're getting. It's kind of like the foot in the door. As an AMI, you're the first in line for a paid assistant manager opportunity inside of the office. You're the first in line for other opportunities moving forward. And these are typically the people that become TLA interviews and people that we interview for the actual position. To become an assistant manager intern, you got to be at least 6K in sales. And again, going back to the comment that some people made earlier, it's all about like being consistent, ACE weekly, like being a team builder, having a positive attitude, and just being consistent, because some people can hit 6K in sales, but we want to know that you can be consistent, whether it's selling $500 to $1,000 or $1,000 plus on a weekly basis. Just to let you all know, if it's something that you're interested in, definitely talk to your managers. We'll be looking to promote anywhere from 15 to 30 assistant manager interns at our fall classic meeting event in November, which is coming up in about a month or so from now. So even if you're on this call and you just started like last weekend, there's still some good amount of time, and you could be someone on that list if it's something that you're excited about going for. And at 10K in sales is when you can officially interview for TLA, and that's really the door that opens up the majority of other opportunities that we have inside and outside, of our company too. So once you get into TLA, that's when the fun stuff really begins to open up. And I'd say a couple different things that are available in TLA. Number one, you have the assistant manager opportunity, which, is very similar to what an assistant manager intern's doing. They have the ability, they're doing things like running office interviews, supporting in training, taking people on field trainings. They still sell and perform at a high level, kind of like the team captains. The most important thing for the team captains to do is lead the way, score the most points, be the best sales reps on the team. But they're also doing a lot of other managerial stuff in the office, running team meetings, running functions, running interviews, meeting one-on-one with representatives, and helping out in every single aspect of the actual operations of an office. The assistant managers are really kind of like the juice that keeps a district office running throughout the year. And, from there, the highlight and premier opportunity that we have at Vector Marketing for students is our branch manager position, our branch manager opportunity. This is the premier opportunity at Cutco. And a branch manager is an entrepreneurial internship opportunity where someone, typically 17 to 24 years old, is going down to a specific territory or location or market for the summer. Cool thing is that it can be ran virtually. So, someone might be in Tampa, but running the Ocala market for the summer, and they're given a specific area or territory where for, a couple months throughout the summertime, they will really build their own organization, run their own team, and run a full-fledged business with the company. So they're kind of in business, for themselves, but not by themselves. And they have obviously the support and structure of the company. It's different than running like a franchise, because if you were going to open up a franchise with a company, you're going to pay, I'm going to open up a Smoothie King. I'll go pay Smoothie King $250,000 to have the rights to, franchise that location. And then Smoothie King will be able to give me all the kind of ingredients and supplies that I need, and I can buy them from them. That's kind of like a franchisee model. A startup model is the opposite, where the owner owns everything. They're not paying up everything, but there's very, very high risk involved. It's an unproven concept, an unproven program, and they're really trying to start something from the ground up. The cool thing about branch managers is kind of a combination of both. But rather than, our people starting off, it's proven programs, proven formulas. We have kind of all the systems already in place. And instead of actually paying money to go out and run the office, our managers are actually given stipends of $3,000 to $6,000 just to kind of help with the initial process of getting the office up and running. And they have experience of running that organization for the summertime. In my opinion, and I'm always like, in my opinion, there's not a lot that you can do as a 17 to 24-year-old to impact those, post 5 to 10 years out of college graduation, outside of running a branch office with Cutco. And by the way, I am biased. But if you want to go talk to, a Mason Linker or Lindsay Holstrom or Audrey Cruz or Amy Rad or any of our other previous branch managers and talk about, their interview process after college, the experience that they gained, the income that they were able to create for themselves, you can totally be my guest. We call it taking the leap, if you will. It's like taking the jump out there and getting leadership experience, adventure, and some personal growth mixed in there as well. So, that's our branch manager position. This is actually a funny story. This is a photo of Luke Maseko, who at the time is actually one of my podcast co-hosts that is hopping on Ace Weekly if you guys ever check that out. But this is a funny story because when I was an assistant manager in Fort Lauderdale, Luke was actually a brand new sales rep that summer. And so he started off as a sales rep. The next summer I run my first branch office in Boca Raton, Florida. And he was an assistant manager in Fort Lauderdale. The following summer I went down to Miami and he became a branch manager in Boca. So it's kind of cool to see this guy go from really just, starting off his first summer as a sales rep to, a year later, he's getting his own office in a private banking center. He's got his name on the door and he's running a full-fledged business for the summertime. These are some of our top branch managers in 2019, and these ones are actually our top branch managers from 2020. Some of you guys might know these people, but Mason Linker, who's up at FSU right now, and Jonathan Castell, who's up at Advent Health University in Orlando. Both two of the top 10 ranked national branches. So one thing I'll say too about kind of the Florida coast, 350 people run branch offices with our company every single year. And this year we had one of the top performing branch manager averages across the entire country. And the challenge that I guess I give people to think about sometimes is it's kind of like, I saw this quote on Facebook one time that one of our fellow managers shared. And, the thing they think about is really a question I ask people is what's better, working for 30, 40, 50 years, to make six figures. And when I say six figures, that's kind of like that's a common, when I ask people about, hey, what are you doing after college? That's really what a lot of people talk about. It's like, well, I want to find a job where I can make, six figures. It's just kind of like the thing that a lot of people say. And, a lot of people, some people are, if they're 4 or 5 star recruits, they're going to get a job like that out of college where that is the case. A lot of other people are going to probably get a job a little bit entry level and they'll work their way up and build up that salary over time and get some promotions. And so I guess the question that I ask people is like, hey, what's better? Doing that and working at that after college for, however many years to make six figures, or, maybe working 2 or 3 years while you're in college to really gain the skills that will help you become a lot more marketable, give you better opportunities right out of college and help you make more money in the future. And so maybe that's a light bulb for you. That's a question I'd be kind of asking myself. And the last position that you guys should probably know about is our pilot sales manager position. This is the most elite position in all of the Leadership Academy. This is a direct apprenticeship with myself. And every single year, I have about 8 to 9 months to pick the number one highest trained candidate inside of the division, the number one most respected candidate, the number one most highest regarded candidate. And this past year, or right now in our fall, this is actually in the Florida Caribbean, but Rob Rodriguez is our current pilot sales manager for 2020. And right now we're currently slating our new pilot sales manager for the summer of 2021. Share this with you all. For most of you all, this position is not really something that's going to be available to you in the near future. But for some of you guys that after you've been here for maybe a summer or two, if you've already ran a branch office, this is something that maybe, here's the deal. When I said I'm scouting out my future leaders for 2021, I really never know who it's going to be. And, there's a chance maybe someone on this call could be the future pilot sales manager here. So I'm going to open it up a little bit, come up for air, and I'll add on a couple different things. But I want you guys to take a quick second, look at your notes. And if you haven't done so already, maybe just jot down 2 or 3 light bulbs or takeaways that you're having, so far as we get started today. And feel free to go ahead and post those into the chat as we're kicking things off. And, for some of you all, maybe a light bulb moment. I can give you an example of my first light bulb moment. I remember I had one when I was in our factory in Olean, New York. And originally I just kind of thought about this as like a summer job for me. That's all it really was. I was just doing this part-time for the summer. And for me, it wasn't a crazy light bulb. My first light bulb was like, maybe I could do this for a couple of summers while I'm in college. Maybe I could open up some like longer term opportunities here for me if I did really try and pursue this. And maybe that's a light bulb for you, but I'd be curious. I'll open up for air as we're getting started. Anything that's exciting, sticking out to people, or any light bulbs that people are having? And I'll call on a couple people here. Who wants to chime in first?
So
Yeah.
I said that it.
Okay.
So I said that if you have good leadership skills, becoming an intern is a very good idea for you to pursue for the near future.
Awesome. So the idea of being an assistant manager intern and developing some leadership skills. Victoria, you want to chime in again too?
Just how you said, being a branch manager is one of the biggest things that could impact the 5 years after college, because everyone kind of wants the same in the box type thing, and this job opens a lot of opportunities for you.
Yeah, and what I love about branch managers, it's really, I mean, if you're going into business, it's awesome. But also like for people, really common among our pre-medical students, you know, because a lot of people, like if you're on a pre-med track, for instance, oftentimes, you know, you're really swam down with school. So, you know, when people are applying to medical school, really most people everyone's got the residencies, everyone does the shadowing, everyone does the volunteer hours, everyone has the same coursework. So really the question becomes is like, what separates you from all the other people? And you can do it with your, you know, your MCAT scores and things like that too. But a lot of times it's an easy way to separate yourself. And for people that want to open up their own practice or, you know, lead and manage their business in some sort of way in the future, it's an opportunity to really gain those skills while still kind of following that medical pursuit. Or maybe they're going to be a lawyer, or maybe they're going to be, you know, their own business owner, whatever the case may be. But I think it's good skills to learn. And, you know, our students make a lot of money doing it too. I don't really hit on the income too much, but, you know, just to give you guys an idea, most of our assistant managers, the average assistant manager during the summertime makes about $15,000. On the low end, usually 10, you know, the top ones in the division this summer probably made, you know, northwards of $30,000 to $40,000. And branch managers is a little bit similar, but probably a little bit higher. Meaning, you know, average branch manager this summer made about $20,000 or so. A low performing branch is probably earning closer to 10, and, you know, top branch managers in our company this summer, some of the top ones in our division were making closer to $60,000 to $70,000 for the summertime. So there's some good income that can come along with it too. But, you know, the main thing is really the people that these students develop into and the experience that they get, you know, while they're taking on those opportunities is one of the most exciting parts. So let me hear from, thank you, by the way, Victoria and Kayla for chiming in again. Let me hear from someone else that hasn't spoken up yet about what's landing for you or any light bulbs here. Yeah, Valeria?
My biggest my biggest light bulb was just working smarter instead of harder. That's just, you don't want to put more effort if you don't need to.
Mm-hmm. And that like is a good thing for like, think about team meetings, you know, paycheck meetings. Like the reality is, guys, the job is very, very flexible. It's so flexible. You can create your own schedule, but you still need a schedule. You know, you still need a schedule in order to actually succeed. You can make your own one, but you need some sort of game plan, you know? So it's like easy things like working smarter is just showing up to team meetings prepared. So you actually make the most out of the meeting versus showing up unprepared. And then it's kind of a waste of time for you and it's a waste of time for your managers. And then you end up not having really any results come out of that meeting, or you have to have a second round of phone calls or phone jam because you didn't really show up prepared to that one. And it's just adding on extra time that you don't really need to be spending doing all that stuff versus being really, really efficient, getting it down to a science where you can feel confident, where it's less time and higher results, right? Anyone else want to chime in before we move on here? Yeah, Diana.
Hi, I said like the team builder, like I think it just made me really think about like being well networked is really important, not just for like this job, but like later in life as well. And I was even talking about it to Jess earlier. And she said like when you're getting recs, you want to think about like, you know, you want to expand your networks. And that's like one of the reasons why you also want to get recs too, not just to do more demos, but to learn from other people with different jobs.
Yeah, you want a quick tip here too is ask for recommendations. We're gonna talk about recommendations a little bit later. Ask for recommendations of people in the industry that you want to go into. It blows my mind when people don't do this, because I cannot tell you how many people I have had land the internships, their dream jobs or the connections that they needed to have through their Cutco sales job by using recommendations to network ways into meetings. You know, it's kind of like I think about like this, like I always wanted to interview and speak to high level, high profile entrepreneurs, people like that, you know, other billionaires and things like that. That would be awesome. I would love to sit down with them. I never had a reason to sit down with them before until I had a podcast, and then I had like a reason to reach out to them, which was nice. So I have like a free excuse to do that. You have the same thing at Cutco. You know, a lot of times you might not have a reason to just start sitting down with people, but at Cutco you do. You can actually get recommendations to these people. I had a girl named Analia Tamariz. She graduated from University of Southern California just a year ago, and she's one of my top sales reps her first summer. She just used this job purely as a networking opportunity. So whenever she was an acting major, which anytime that you're sharing your goals at your beginning appointment, you should probably share a lot of that stuff. So at the end of her presentations, though, she would ask, you know, her customers, hey, do you know anyone that's like in the acting industry or film or television or anything like that? I'd love to meet some more people like that. And at first she started the summer and had no one like that. Then she got a couple. And then obviously those people know a lot more people in those industries. So they kept recommending her more and more. By the end of the summer, she was seeing some of the top names, and I won't even say all of them, but she was seeing some pretty big people in Miami. And that's actually how she ended up landing up the acting gig that she got the following summer out in LA, you know? So if you only want to see people in finance or in real estate or that are doctors, and like I've had people get their letters of recommendations from medical school from doing the same thing. So that's a good tip there too. And you know, your network is really your net worth, and being a team builder and being able to grow the team, build a team is a really good foundational skill set that I think is helpful for whatever you're doing here in the future. So we might have a couple other light bulbs, and I'll come back up for some more air. For any of you guys that have a light bulb of like, hey, branch manager, that sounds exciting, or, you know, that opportunity, or assistant manager, AMI, or whatever it might be, you know, we have something called Cutco Through College. And, you know, there's different people, and what Cutco Through College really is, there's certain people that know exactly what they want to do. You know, like a Jonathan Castell, he knows exactly what he wants. He's like, I want to be a doctor. In fact, I want to be a cardiothoracic surgeon, and I want to go to this school, and I want to graduate at this time. And like, they have everything buttoned up. You know, some people, some of you all on this call probably have literally no idea. You know, the people that like change their majors like 3 or 4 times their first couple years in college, like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I want to do with my life. And then, you know, most people that are college students, they have like, you know, a decent idea, like maybe not the finite details, but they have a good idea of like kind of what they want to do. Most people are somewhere in between there, right? So Cutco Through College, really what that is for people that make the decision that, hey, you know what, this is the vehicle that I'm going to use, at least throughout my collegiate years, to really make the money and income that I want to make and develop my skill set and my resume during my time period. So, you know, a typical Cutco Through College collegiate track, most people, their first summer or fall and spring, you're kind of just like selling and earning your spot, right? Like getting to at least 10 grand sales, developing the fundamentals of, you know, basic Cutco, just not Cutco, but just basic sales skills in the first place. And really kind of learning that spot. For people that get into the Leadership Academy, really usually the first goal is to become a branch manager. And some people do it multiple summers in a row. You know, if you do it multiple summers, I ran 3 branch offices when I was in college. The first time you're really learning, it's like a startup, like you're learning how to start a business, build a business. If you did it again, you learn how to grow it. If you do it again, the third time you learn really how to scale it. Some people become branch managers and kind of transition to some of our other roles, which I'll kind of talk about here in a little bit. But our goal with people that go through our Cutco Through College program is that by the time that they graduate, they're the most sought after students in their graduating class. They have more job offers and better job offers than really anyone else that they're graduating with, because the skills and experience they bring compared to the resume they have and the confidence they can bring, you know, to the table. A lot of you all know some of the awards and accolades that our company's received in the past couple of years. We were DECA, which is, you know, for those of you guys that haven't heard of it, it's one of the biggest business clubs and organizations in most colleges and high schools. And we were named the Marlene Dunn Company of the Year by DECA in 2017. Business Insider, I mean, I can't even list all of these ones too, but Business Insider ranked us last year as the number 12, or actually there's a couple different ones too. There's a lot of different awards. The one I'm probably most proud of is USA Today's award that they gave us last year, which is top 20 jobs in North America. We were number 12 on that list. And this was not, by the way, like this is not top 20 student jobs. This was just top 20 jobs, period. We were number 12 on that list, on USA Today's list. Above that of Microsoft, above that of Facebook, above that of Trader Joe's, Delta Airlines, and some other really good companies here too. And by the way, the reason that I say that and share that with you all is, number one, you should feel good about the experience that you're going to be able to put on your resume. But more importantly than that, like, look, it's the reason that we've had a lot of these awards and accolades over the past few years for our company. It's not because our students, make so much money working with us, although we have students that make a pretty significant amount of money while they work with us. It's not because the job is really flexible and convenient, although for a lot of people, job's flexible and convenient and they can do it from home. But the really reason why we've received a lot of this rewards and recognition and prestige is because when other companies go to hire people, like if you have a LinkedIn, wait till you put vector marketing on your LinkedIn, because you'll just start getting a bunch of messages. And companies know that when they want to hire people that come from vector and have this type of experience, it's experience that they get. It's people that go through our TLA and leadership programs, and they're the people that are highly sought out for companies when they go on to do bigger and better things here in the future too. So hopefully if you're taking anything away, and I want to go ahead and give you guys some keys to success here in your time that you work here. But before we do that, I want to take a quick second and just give you guys a couple ideas of some things beyond this. First things first, before I can talk about anything, is you have to hit dirty 30. That's really the first step, is sitting down with your manager. And some of y'all are in the middle of your fast starts, but y'all finished a couple weeks ago. But I would just make sure you have some sort of plan on, when am I going to hit dirty 30? When's my dirty 30 birthday? And I also want to let you know about some post-college opportunities that we have too, while you're here with us. By the way, this is not the, hey, drop out of college and change your degree or your major conversation. That's not what I'm here to talk to you about. But I always do think it is good to be able to choose and have more options than less, right? Than versus have like your options chosen for you because you don't really have a lot of them, which is a situation that some people are in. So here's the two kind of opportunities that we have for people that graduate, from college, or maybe college isn't the right fit for them. They're no longer in school, but some post-collegiate opportunities. Number one is a Cutco sales professional. So this is CSP. This is someone that sells full-time professionally as a career with Cutco. So they are in charge of, they do the same job that you do, but they do it on a little bit more of a professional level. So they have access to our fairs and shows program. So they can do things like, sell Cutco at Epcot. In fact, we sold almost $1.4 million last year at Epcot alone in 2 months when we did that fair and show. They have access to our Cutco closing gifts and realtor program. So they do branded gifts for realtors, for business owners, for mortgage brokers that are creating custom personalized gifts for their clients or for their employees. And they create those as well for people. So there's some other cool opportunities that our CSPs have. One thing that I write down for this position, three things I would write down. Number one, I write down flexibility. The jobs, it's kind of like your job, very, very flexible, but it's cooler when you're an adult and you have a really flexible job, because most jobs, the way it works is you get like a week of vacation, you have a specific schedule, and you request time off. It's pretty usually set in stone, what you're doing on a yearly basis. Cool thing about CSPs is they have a completely flexible schedule. They can kind of set it up when they want to, if they want to, work late nights, if they want to work a lot of weekends, if they never want to work weekends, want to work most of the weekdays. Some of them will go hard for a couple months out of the year and honestly chill out for the other couple months of the year, or travel or do other things. But there's a lot of autonomy in that. So if you like, own personal flexibility and independence, I think our CSP opportunity can be really cool, and it's high income. So, average CSP is earning, about six figures. Some people are, we have some people that are earning well over and beyond that. As CSPs here as well. So that's our CSP opportunity. If you really enjoy selling, if you enjoy a lot of personal freedom and autonomy, our CSP is a pretty cool opportunity. And then we have our district manager opportunity, which, by the way, if you're wondering what the difference between a branch and district manager is, it's almost the same job, but a branch manager is like a summer student internship versus a district manager is doing this full-time year-round as a career position with the company. District managers could sometimes be someone like a Mike Abramowitz, who has been a district manager now for over 10 years and is really building his legacy and his passion here. A district manager could be someone like an Alex Arias, who is actually, by the way, a full-time student finishing her senior year right now at college at NYU. You might have known that or not, but she's in school right now, wrapping up her last year. And, Alex probably won't do this forever. She's a writing major. She wants to go into writing and executive producing, but, she's able to use this maybe as a vehicle for the next couple of years to really build her skill set, build her resume, save up a lot of capital, and work with great people along the way. So the example I give for a district manager, it's honestly, it's really like being a high paid teacher. That's kind of like the example that I give people. So if you like working with people, if you like coaching, if you like mentoring, if you really like serving and impacting other people, district manager is a really cool position. Average district manager is making, 6 figures plus. Top district managers, some of y'all are making a lot more than that, 200 to 300 or so. You have the personal satisfaction of coaching and mentoring people. And there's some cool perks that you get along with it. There's all of our district managers get a free BMW. You have opportunity to teach in other people. So the things I write down for district manager are high income and then like mentorship and coaching. So if you really like helping and coaching people, district manager could be a really cool opportunity there. And I'm actually going to go ahead and take a quick second to forward you all something. So I'm going to go ahead and actually forward out the district manager pay packet that some of you all can kind of see and use and reference. So if that sounds like something that you might be interested in, you can feel free to check that out. And by the way, as I'm going forward, for some of you all, you're like, hey, this, like, Andrew, that's great. These opportunities are sound cool. I already know what I want to do. Like, there's no way, I would ever do anything like that. Awesome. Some of you all are in a boat where, hey, actually, Andrew, like, I'm not even enrolled in school right now. This whole COVID thing, like, I didn't even want to go back to classes, or I don't even know if I want to keep doing this. Like, I actually might be interested in some of these opportunities, like, in the closer future, not like a couple years from now. And by the way, if that is the case, feel free to reach out to me or talk to your other manager, afterwards today. And I sent that pay packet out to you, and you can check that out. And then for other people, most of you on this call, you had a couple years before you graduate anyways. I think it's just good to create options for yourself. In my opinion, it's always better to have more options and be able to choose what is most exciting for you than, have less options when it comes down to things too. So I'll wrap up with this section with this real quickly. And that is, actually, this is a quick photos of our team. It's the pay packet I sent out. I'm looking for A players. So, as we continue through today, I'm looking for people that are willing to step up and lead, the aces of the division, if you will. People that don't play to be good, they play to be great. And, a lot of people know our division for having A players. When people want to come sell Cutco at a high level, they come down to South Florida. And that's kind of the name that our division has. But if you want to be an A player, if you want to get on the radar, if you will, for TLA and for future advancement opportunities, just keep in mind CPO talks. I have a saying is that I can't hear what you're saying until I actually like see what you're selling. Because you can be really excited, but you also, again, it is a performance-based business. And so it is important that if you're going to be a leadership and performance company, you should be able to perform and operate at a high level. So, I really challenge you all to really see like how good can I get at the Cutco sales presentation? How good can I get my sales and leadership skills too? And I think it will open up a lot more doors, there to the future. So I'm going to go ahead and just because this is a shorter SLDM, during the summer I run these a lot longer. During the fall, I try to keep it short and sweet because I know a lot of y'all are in classes here right now. I want to dive into some Cutco skill set, but I'm going to give us a 3 to 4 minute break here for anyone that just has to use the restroom or get water or something else like that. We'll make it a quick one just because we'll dive right back into it. But while we go to a quick break, just take a quick second to write down, number one, what's the most exciting thing for you right now coming out of this meeting? And I want you to write down a couple of light bulbs. So you can put it on WhatsApp. And when you post it on WhatsApp, go ahead and post your light bulbs with like your full name, the office that you're in, and then your light bulb. So I can follow up and respond to a couple of them here. So take 30 seconds, write down any light bulbs. You can go ahead and post them up. And it's 5:02. At 5:07, we'll reconvene here. And I'm going to give you guys some goods on skyrocketing your Cutco sales presentations and dramatically increasing your Cutco sales here to wrap things up. So we'll take 5 real quickly. Go ahead and post your light bulbs. And we'll get started right away at 5:06, 5:07. So everyone needs to take a quick break. Feel free to. And we'll get started here in just a second. and I'll hang out for anyone that doesn't want to take a break. Quick second. James, how did you hear about the job?
I was really poor and needed some money, and I just saw it online. And to be honest, I didn't know. I saw a vector application online, and I didn't know it was for Cutco. So I got to the interview, and it was for Cutco, and I stayed. And
Nice. Had you had heard about Cutco from like some other buddies before in the past?
yeah, so my brother's girlfriend used to work for Cutco.
Oh, nice. Was it in Tampa or?
No, I'm from Virginia, so.
Okay, cool. Yeah. For how long ago do you know did she work there?
I want to say it's definitely last year, but I don't think she doesn't work there anymore.
Nice. Well, welcome. When did you start the job?
Saturday.
Oh, wow. So you just started this past weekend?
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Good to have you here. And you're at UT, you said?
Yes.
Cool. Nice. Got a lot of buddies that graduated from there.
Oh, yeah, nice.
What year are you in school?
I'm a sophomore, just for this started.
Nice. And what do you study?
I'm public health major.
Cool. What's like the long-term goal with that?
Well, first right now is graduate college, going to the fire academy, and then something to do with public health after that.
Cool. Nice. So you're going to go to the fire academy too. This year has been a great year for public health.
Yeah. It's really kind of interested in it.
I'm sure there's a lot of interesting conversations that come up in class.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's all COVID related, but.
Yep, I don't doubt it. All right, ladies and gents, we're going to go ahead and dive back in. So I'll give everyone a quick second to hop on here, but for time-wise, I'm just going to go ahead and kick things off. So continue to post those light bulbs up as we get started. And what we're going to go ahead and do, I want to teach you guys something on advanced recommendations. And the objective that I have is to help you dramatically increase your Cutco sales. And when I think about dramatically increasing your Cutco sales, I know you all probably, as new reps, a lot of times the first thing you think about is, how do I sell bigger orders? How do I sell bigger sales? How do I sell on more appointments? and that stuff's great. But when a manager or assistant manager or anyone that sold a lot of Cutco thinks about dramatically increasing your sales, always comes down to recommendations. There's the long-term game and there's the short-term game. The short-term game is, hey, sell more in that appointment. Hey, sell more for the week, increase your closing percentage. The long-term game is increase your network and build a sustainable business where you have customers coming back to you for repeated orderlies. You might not even know this, but there's CSPs, they get 100 to 200 grand a year sales of just returning business from their old customers. Building a recommendation base and a clientele base where you have a couple hundred recommendations makes the job a hell of a lot easier. And by the way, it increases your sales when you're not just seeing anyone that you can find to do a quick practice appointment with, but you're seeing your very best customers, and you're seeing people that love to cook and love to entertain and like the nicest quality things for their home. And they have a big family and they're super nice. That makes the job a lot more fun when those are the people that you're seeing on a consistent basis. So what I want to talk to you guys a little about today is really increasing your recommendation game and being able to help out in that area. So the first thing that I think about when it comes to recommendations, if you want to get a lot of recommendations, you got to be willing to do two things. And by the way, people buy Cutco if they like two things. Number one, they have to like the product. Okay, that's a pretty obvious one. Is they have to like the product if they're going to purchase it. But the second thing is they have to like the sales rep. And I think that's something that not a lot of people talk about sometimes. But they can't like one without the other, or it's really got to be both. If they really like the sales rep, but they don't really like the product, we call that a pity sale. We call that like the one knife sale where it's like, sure, I'll buy a knife to help you out. It's like they're probably not going to buy a lot or as much as they would, but they might be able to do something nice because they really just like that person. If they really like the product, but they don't really like the representative, well, they're probably still going to buy something, but they're probably not going to buy near as much as they would have, if they really like that sales representative too. So, the first thing is that a lot of people here want to make professional levels of income, but they don't want to do a professional presentation, and I'll tell you the biggest difference between an amateur and a professional, not just in the Cutco business, but an amateur versus a professional, besides the fact that professionals get paid more, is that what separates a professional is that a professional practices and rehearses more than they actually perform. A professional practices and rehearses, spends more time doing that than they do performing. Okay. By the way, a lot of just to think about it, most, if you think about professional athletes, the majority, if you take their schedule for the whole year and their job, the majority of it's not actually playing in the games. It's like the majority, 80% of their time is spent practices and scrimmages and workouts and trainings and everything else that goes into it. Only a small portion of time is actually spent doing the actual performance. Same thing for entertainers. Same thing for like high-powered, high-level doctors, like surgeons. The actual time they're spent doing surgery is kind of small. A lot of times they're spending classes, learning, years and years and years of schooling, and only a small portion actually doing their professional activities. The other thing is most professionals, by the way, they pay money to get the training, to get the experience. They pay for extra coaching one-on-one on the side. They pay to go to a medical school. They pay lots of money to get to a level of expertise to become a professional, invest in a lot of hours. So here's my first tip before we even get started is, I would just have a little bit of time in your schedule each week to work on your craft, to get better at the position, to work smart, versus just working hard. One thing is what we call as a power hour, having 1 hour in your schedule once a week where you can kind of just do two things. Number one, plan out your schedule and map out your goals for the week. And then also just go through your scripts, review the manual, review the presentation, and just get really more familiar with the product. If you can't, when the customer goes, well, Faith, why should I buy the signature set instead of just, a galley set or a homemaker plus say, or just instead of getting a few pieces. And if you can't really answer that question confidently and you don't know the answer, they're probably not going to buy it. So building up your skill set and your confidence, I think, is important. And if you really want to sell a lot and get a lot of recommendations, then the customers have to like you and you have to do a professional presentation too. They got to be comfortable and willing to recommend you to other people. So how do you get someone comfortable, become comfortable with you, to get comfortable with you? It really starts in the rapport building process. And this is the first step of the presentation. It's something that's not talked about a ton. also a really, really valuable skill to get good at beyond Cutco, because if you can build rapport very easily with someone, it will literally help you with your job interviews. It will help you with getting promoted at your jobs. It will help you with dating. It will help you with literally anything you're doing in the future. If you're better at building relationships with people quickly, getting to know people, increasing your network, building rapport is a really great skill to have. So, and for me, I remember when I first started the job, like the hardest part wasn't like doing the presentation. Like once I started doing the presentation, it was like, all right, I got this. It's easy. I know what to do. I read the paper. The hardest thing for me when I started the presentation, when I did the presentation, was just like starting it. It was just like that awkward transition between like me hopping on the Zoom call with them and like getting the presentation really rolling. Anyone else? Can anyone relate to that? Okay, cool. Here's the thing. It doesn't need to be awkward, and by the way, like I'm going to teach you guys something in a second, but you shouldn't have to like read the script to introduce yourself. You shouldn't. Hi, by the way, Miss Jones, my name is Andrew and I'm a student at so-and-so. And the reason that I'm doing this is because like, it just sounds kind of awkward when you're reading from a paper to like introduce yourself to the customer. So I'm going to teach you guys something today that's going to help you with your rapport building process, which will help you sell more Cutco and ultimately help you get a lot more recommendations, which I think is one of the most important things here too. So I'm going to teach you guys something called the magic formula. I'll actually do it for you one time. So let's see, let me pull it up here real quickly. Cutco, let's see. Go to your Cutco demo and my vector demo too. So I'm going to pull up real quickly here the manual of the presentation, and let me go ahead and I'll just give you guys a quick little sneak peek on kind of I guess what this looks like here too. So let me get a little partner. Let's see, here is Nick. Let me Nick, I'll have you role play with me a little bit. Cool.
Yes, sir.
You'll be my Mrs. Jones. All right. So Miss Jones, let me go ahead and so I'm building rapport. Great. Okay, Miss Jones, I'm gonna go ahead and get started real quickly. Can you see my screen right now?
I sure can.
Okay, perfect. And I can go ahead and get started with my. Actually, you know what, Miss Jones? Honestly, before I even get started, I really just want to take a quick second to thank you for taking out the time to see my presentation today. I know that you probably have a lot going on. I know it's the middle of the school week and the kids, and there's probably a lot of crazy stuff going on. So I really just appreciate you, taking out the time and getting a chance to sit down with me. I know you probably have a lot of better things going on, so it really does mean a lot to me. And Bill, let me ask you, Ms. Jones, have you heard of Cutco before?
I have not.
Okay, you haven't? All right, awesome. Well, then you're in for a treat. Cutco is the bomb. By the end of every presentation, everyone wants to get us out of this stuff. But I'll let you know too, Miss Jones, like, just so you know, I'm not like a knife sales person. Actually, the reason why I started doing this job is I actually over at my local college and university, and I wanted to find a way to be able to pay off for my tuition and books in school. And I'm actually a finance major. And one day I want to go into consulting. And so this is really a great opportunity for me to kind of fine tune and build my interpersonal skills, build up my ability to network and meet people that are 2 to 3 times my age, because eventually that's the clients that I want to be working with. So it's really giving me good skill set. It's providing me an opportunity to pay my way through school. And that's something that I'm really excited about. And that's, why I'm doing what I'm doing. And by the way, Ms. Jones, do you mind if I share some of my goals with you?
Not at all. And that's so awesome.
You're sure you don't mind?
Not at all.
All right. Awesome, Ms. Jones. Well, I'm glad that you said that. So like I said, I actually just started working here this past week. I'm in a huge competition right now called my Fast Start competition. And all right, I'm going to stop real quickly there. So now I'm going to give you guys what I just did. By a show of hands, how many of you is that like a lot smoother than whatever you all have been doing to kind of like start your presentation? Okay, cool. By the way, it wasn't any just suave. There's actually a formula for exactly what I just did. And I'm going to go ahead and teach it to you guys right now. So let me go ahead and pull this up for y'all. Okay. First thing that I did, actually, before I even tell you what I'm about to do, what are some things that you all noticed that I just did to kind of transition into the presentation?
You talked about your goals and that like you're not all about selling knives, but you're really about like progressing further in life, and you gave them something to like help you out with, right?
Yeah. So I told them like, hey, I'm not a salesperson. What else?
You also talked about them and like kind of made them feel good. Like, I know that you're so busy this week and like with the kids and like making sure that like you're also talking about their life, because it's not just to show them the presentation and get it over with.
Yep. So I'm thanking them for taking out their time. What else am I doing that you guys noticed that I did?
Yeah, you also didn't put the presentation in the beginning. You just shut it off so that she had your whole attention.
Yep. So I actually started it and then stopped the presentation right away. So I'm going to give you guys a couple different things, and I'll give you the kind of like the scientific formula for doing this. And this is really how to go from building rapport with the customer and transitioning into that presentation, making it more comfortable. First step is something called the open and close. So to the point of Zebet that you just made, I started the presentation, and I actually literally started sharing my screen, right? So I queued up the presentation. I actually in fact, I'll kind of cut the customers off. I'm like, all right, Ms. Jones, well, I'm just going to go ahead and get started now. Can you see my presentation and everything? Great. And then I'll go, actually, you know what, Ms. Jones? Before I do that, and I'll stop, right? So, because here's what I'm doing, by the way, when I do this. When I queue up my share screen, or the customer queues up their share screen, and this presentation is on, what does this represent right now? What's happening? This means I'm trying to do what?
Sell to them. It's a sales.
Yeah, I'm doing the presentation. I'm trying to sell them something. This is like the business part, versus when I do this and they're looking at my face, what does this feel more like?
Like you're just talking, hanging out.
Yeah, more like connection, personal one-on-one. Does it seem like I'm not like, hey, okay, Ms. Jones, I am trying to sell you something right now. And actually, let me just talk to you for a little bit before I even start that whole thing. So what you're doing is I literally will start the presentation, cue it up, and I'll go, actually, you know what, Ms. Jones? And I'll go ahead and hit stop, and I'll stop the share screen. Like, before I even get started, I actually wanted to just take a quick second, Ms. Jones, just to thank you for taking out your time to see me today. And you'll notice, by the way, as I'm saying this, that the thank you is not scripted, and there's no script there, and that's because it should be genuine. You shouldn't need a script to thank your customers. I would just genuinely thank them for whatever. Like, hey, Ms. Jones, honestly, I want to thank you because on Wednesday night, I know you were super nice to me, but I called 50 people that night, and so many people were mean and rude, and you were so sweet when you answered me. And, I know you're probably busy or XYZ, or, hey, you're my favorite godmother, and I just wanted to thank you for that too, or whatever. Just genuinely thank them for whatever you can thank them for, whatever you're excited about here. And always start with, some gratitude. And then I say, so open and close, I'll thank them. Then I'll go, now, Ms. Jones, by the way, have you heard of Cutco before? Have you heard of Cutco? And number one, this is a good question to ask, because how many of y'all, has anyone ever done a whole presentation, gotten to the end, and then you find out that they already own Cutco? And you're like, damn it, I wish I would have known that an hour ago before I did this whole thing, right? Or they've already heard of it or something like that. So number one, it's good to know that at the beginning of the presentation. But here's the deal. Whether they have heard of it or haven't heard of it doesn't really matter. I don't really care if they're like, yeah, I've heard of Cutco. Their response doesn't matter. What does matter?
Your energy and their energy when you say.
Your response to that question matters. So I might say, hey, Ms. Jones, have you heard of Cutco before? And they'll go, oh, yeah, I've heard of it. And it's like, oh, awesome, Ms. Jones. Perfect. So you already know, just how great Cutco is. Yeah, Cutco is the bomb. Yeah, by the end of every presentation, everyone wants to get a set of this stuff. Right? Or no, Andrew, I've never heard of Cutco before. It's like, you haven't? It's like, all right, Ms. Jones, well, you're in for a treat then. Cutco is awesome. By the end of every presentation, everyone wants to get a set. And it's starting off because here's what you're doing. Whether they have or haven't heard of it, you're giving them before you even start the presentation. Again, people don't buy Cutco. They buy your enthusiasm. They buy your conviction and your belief. That's what customers buy. That's what gives them confidence in purchasing the product, is your confidence. So this is really when we think about making a good impression, their first impression of the product is the way that you initially talk about the product. So, how you respond to that question is what matters the most. And it's like, oh, awesome, Ms. Jones. Yeah, you're in for a treat. Cutco's awesome. Cutco is the bomb. Everyone wants to get a set of this stuff, and just kind of laying a groundwork at the beginning of the presentation. So say, have you heard of Cutco before? And then I say, okay, cool, Ms. Jones. And by the way, before I get started, like, I'll just let you know too, like, I'm not a knife salesperson. I'm not a knife salesman or a knife saleswoman, you know? And I'll just let them, like, I'm kind of clearing the air at the very beginning. And the reason I'm doing this, by the way, like, look, have anyone ever done their presentations and you're getting one of these at the beginning of it? Like,
Yeah.
you're just, customers are kind of just looking at you like, you know, like, Victoria, like, what is this? Ethan, like, what are you getting? You're selling knives now? Like, who convinced you to do this? Like, how'd you get tricked into doing this one? They're like, what are you doing? You know, they're just giving you one of those. Has anyone ever gotten one of those before? Okay, I got a couple of those when I first started. So, and really, it's because the customers don't really understand. So, you know, just telling them, it kind of like clearing the elephant in the room, the air at the beginning, and it's like, hey, by the way, Miss Jones, like, I just let you know, like, obviously I'm not like a knife salesperson. You know, you've known me for years. I'm involved in school. I'm doing all this stuff. Actually, like, the reason why I'm doing this is boom, and then explain why. And here's the deal. People don't care what you're doing. They care why you're doing it. And by the way, explaining this is crucial, because guess what? When you don't explain this, what the customer's view and opinion of before you get started is you're just there to sell them some shit and leave. That's really what their belief is. Like, you're just going to try to sell them some stuff and like finish the present. Like, that's all I think, you know, versus once you explain why you're doing what you're doing, say, hey, by the way, like, I'm not like a knife salesperson. I'm not going to, you know, I'm not planning on selling knives for the rest of my life. Actually, the reason why I'm doing this is because blank, you know, and it gives you an opportunity to talk a little bit about why you're doing what you're doing. And I think that can be really, really powerful. Last thing, so you say, hey, Ms. Jones, open and close. Thank the customer. Have you heard of Kaka before? And by the way, Ms. Jones, I'm not just a knife salesperson. Actually, the reason why I'm working. And then you transition right into the presentation, which is like one of the first lines of your presentation. You say, and by the way, Ms. Jones, do you mind if I share some of my goals with you? Right? And what's every customer going to say? Yeah, sure. Go ahead. And it gives you a perfect transition to go right into the presentation and start talking about some of your goals that you're working towards with your job, with your goal. Now, by the way, I did one thing earlier. Did anyone catch what I did on that last section?
Are you sure? You asked her again. Yes, twice.
Yep. I said, hey, Ms. Jones, do you mind if I share some of my goals with you? And look, every customer is going to say, yeah, sure, go ahead. Which, by the way, they're going to do that just to be what?
Nice.
Just to be nice, just to be polite, which means, by the way, everything that you're about to say, going in one ear and going out the other. Unless you ask again and you go, like, you're sure you don't mind? And they're like, and then what happens then is they lean in a little bit, they listen a little bit more. They're like, oh, no, like, all right, whatever he's about to say is going to be important. Okay, I'm going to listen a little more. They're a little bit more engaged in what you're about to say as you actually share your goals. So you're like, hey, Ms. Jones, do you mind if I share some of my goals with you? You're sure? Like, you don't mind? Awesome, Ms. Jones. Well, I'm really glad you said that, because I just started this job, and I don't know if I've ever been more fired up about anything in my entire life, Ms. Jones. In fact, I just started this and go into whatever your goal sharing is. You can learn a lot more about some of these topics at another time, but not for today. And I'm going to go ahead and take a quick second to send this slide over to all of you, so you have this on file.
Yeah, I took a picture of it already.
Boom, there you go. So I went ahead and forwarded it into the group so that you have that there. And the last thing, and by the way, this is rapport building. It's going to make your appointment flow easier. It's going to make the transition easier. It's going to make it easier for you to transition into your appointment. But most importantly, it's going to make it easier for you to ask recommendations when you actually get to that portion of your actual presentation. So 2 other things I'm going to do is, when you go into goal sharing, I will go ahead and forward it into the group chat here right now. Let me see. In 3, 2, 1. Let me go ahead and forward both of these. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time on it for today, but look, you can use the regular page to share your goals in a very generic manner or fashion. But I recommend, and by the way, every sales rep does this at one point or another after the fast start. If you're in your fast start, though, I would recommend doing this before the end of it, when you can actually share your goals. And I gave you 2 different ways. You could create a document, you could create a keynote, you could create like the little Adobe Spark. but I would take a little bit of time. Like I would have some sort of, again, most people are visual learners. So having some sort of visual representation of your goals is helpful. A lot of y'all work in a Tampa office is an example of Jessica Shannon's goals. You know, and I have like the Word version here, so it's a little bit formatted incorrectly, but you know, she's got a couple photos of her family, and some of the squad from the office, a little bit about me, why Cutco, what I'm working towards. And she's got that one set up. Then, you know, we have something like this is Mila Amy's. You can create a Adobe Spark website, right? So she's got her school that she goes to there, where she's graduating from, her goals. And this is a good format for making some goals if you don't have any. I would have a sales goal. You always have a sales goal, always. I don't care if you're in your fast start, if it's your second year in the job, if you're in a big push competition, or if it's your goal for that day. You always have to have some sort of numeric goal that you're working towards. Whatever it is, doesn't matter, but you need to have some sort of sales goal that so the customers know that you're working to sell. You know, that's part of the process. This goal, every single person could use. You know, hey, Ms. Jones, one of my goals is to be introduced to, you know, almost 1,000 new customers. You have a long-term goal, like being a, you know, branch manager or whatever it is, long-term Cutco goal. Hey, my goal is to win a President's Club letter, or to get inducted into TLA, or to whatever. And then a long-term non-Cutco goal. You know, hers is say, hey, I want to be a 5-star math, science, and engineering student. You know, when I graduate, I want to have these type of opportunities. And you can include some things like that, President's Club, scholarship, letter, max sponsorship. You can make a website a little bit like this, and you could actually, I think, duplicate it. You can create your own, you know, and make one. So there's different ways to do it, but I would have some sort of visual that you can use to share your goal. So maybe there's a couple light bulbs here for there. I'm going to wrap off with a couple quick things here. Last thing, I'm going to go through this quickly because of time-wise, okay, is something else that can help you out with recommendations. So one other thing, let me go ahead and pull this up for you all. When it comes to recommendations and increasing them, the number one reason, well, actually, I'll just say this too. A lot of times people want incentives to do things. So, you know, one of the biggest things to realize is something called the point system. And a lot of you all know that you can kind of give away some free stuff to help you close orders and deals. But what our best representatives on our team do, there's 3 types of people. There's people that, number one, give away a bunch of free stuff because they don't know how to sell without giving away free stuff. So they just give away free stuff for no reason because they feel like they need to give away free stuff in order to close the deal. And that's good maybe when you're first getting started. The next level of sales reps, they don't give away as much or any free stuff because, quite frankly, if you're good at selling, you don't need to give away free stuff to sell the product. The product sells all the time by its standalone. Free stuff can just be an extra cherry on top to help you close some deals. Our best reps, though, they always give away free stuff. They just don't give away free stuff for the sales. And here's what I mean by that, okay? It's called the 60-40 rule. So what you can actually do on your appointment, okay, is and the rule that we give our elite representatives is to use 40% of like the total bonus points that you're allowed to use for your actual sales, and then you save 60% for your recommendations. Here's what I mean by that, okay? A lot of you all might know this, but the rule is you can use about 20 points for every $100 in CPO. So for every $100 of retail CPO that you sell, you'll have 20 free bonus points of things that you can use to give away things for free. So if I sell $1,000, I would have 200 bonus points. If I sold $500, I would have 100 bonus points. Now, 20 is what we tell you. Just so you know, your managers can set it up so that you can do up to 30 bonus points. That's the absolute maximum that you can do. So here's the deal. If I sold $1,000 with the 60-40 rule, you know, ideally I'm using, it would probably be what, 100 and I can use up to 80 points to close that deal. And I have another 120 points that I can use for free stuff. Now, you never ever give away free stuff to get the customer to give you 10 recommendations. You can get 10 recommendations without giving away any free stuff at all. But the recommendations, okay, but once you get them to 10, getting them to 20, 30, 40, 50 recommendations, a lot of times customers are like, all right, I don't know anyone else. And then you go, okay, cool, Ms. Jones. And by the way, if you're able to, if you can get me to 20, I could actually give you that free veggie peeler that you were looking at earlier. I can actually throw in those super shears for free with your order. I could actually give you that one knife that you didn't get included in your set because you got a galley set instead of a homemaker. I could actually just throw it on your order for free if you can get me to 20. And all of a sudden, they know so many more people. They're like, oh, well, yeah, I could probably think of a couple more people, right? And all of a sudden the names start flying. So you can't do this on an appointment where you didn't sell anything. But by the way, just so you know, even if you already put the sale online, you can always call field service and just have the order, adjusted on that case or basis here too as well. Give me 1 second here too. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pass this along. So I'll go ahead and send this into the group chat as well, so you guys have a photo of this. And I'm already over time, so I'm going to leave you guys with some closing thoughts here as we wrap things up. So take a quick second to go ahead and post any light bulbs or debriefs that you might have. Okay, and you can take a quick second to jot down any light bulbs or takeaways that you're having so far. By the way, okay, if you thought you got, I'll just say you'd stop for a quick second. Let me just go back to our objectives that we were talking about earlier, okay? Some of the objectives that we had for today is number one, okay, we wanted to, let's see real quickly here. Okay, let's see. We wanted to, number one, dramatically increase your Cutco sales. Anyone feel like leaving this meeting, they have a little bit of goods that they can be using on their appointments here? Cool. We wanted to educate you on future opportunities. Did we do that one? All right. And I am identifying, by the way, our future leaders for 2021 and beyond. And I'll just tell you guys this thing. If you felt like you got any value from today or you learned anything, just wait to our fall classic event in November. I mean, this will seem like, baby training compared to that event if you have opportunity to get to that. It won't be just a quick little short event where you're learning some Cutco goods, but it will be high power to really help you guys take your sales to the next level. So some closing thoughts that I can give you is as you leave this meeting, make a statement. I'm really looking forward to seeing who can get on the radar and who can be making a statement to earn themselves a TLA interview. I'll be thinking about how you can become a 5-star college graduate and how you can be opening up other doors and opportunities for yourself. And a photo that I always think about when I do this is a photo Jordy Classy with his idol Robin Van Persie as a 12-year-old boy. And it's funny too, they took this photo many, many years beforehand, and then years later, he was playing side by side with him on the Dutch national team. And I think about, hey, where could you be 1 year from now? Where could you be? A lot of times you might be coming into this meeting as a brand new sales rep, but, do you know some of the opportunities where you could be, 6 to 9 months or even next summer and some of the doors that you could open for yourself? Typically, you have to start during the summer to be a branch manager in the following summer. But Audrey Cruz last year started at the end of the fall, and she's one of our, top performing branch managers this past summer. So those doors and opportunities can still be open for you, and hopefully maybe have some light bulbs. My last thoughts for you guys to wrap up the meeting today is if you really want to lead the way, leaders lead when it matters the most. The Tom Brady's, the Michael Jordans, the LeBron James of the world, they don't always perform amazing all the time, but they always perform when it matters the most. They always perform in the playoffs and the championships. And that's what leaders do too. So there's a couple of times our playoffs is coming up, and it's the Capture the Cup Alliance push. There's a Cutco push periods is really the time to surge and get the most out of it. And there's one sales push competition, which is where really the whole company, our entire region steps up and for 2 weeks goes kind of balls to the walls with Cutco. All of our managers work harder. All of our sales reps do a little bit more than they typically do. And I'm really looking for some leaders that are going to step up on this. If you want the dates, this push starts on the 29th, of October. So the 29th of October is the first day of the Capture the Cup push. And I'd be sitting down with your manager over the next couple of weeks to see really how you can maximize and get the most out of the event. And there's a lot of cool contests and freebies up for grabs. The last thing is the Fall Classic event. You want to make sure that at all costs you get an invitation to this event. And by the way, I mentioned there's some perks in getting on my radar, getting to these meetings and being invited to here. And you guys can let your managers know this. You have to be personally invited by your managers. Unless I invite you. And I just want to let you know that if you're at this meeting, I want to go ahead and invite all of you all to our Fall Classic Conference and Fall Classic event. So most of your managers probably won't believe me that I did this. So let them know, though, ahead of time, and I'll make sure I relay the message that everyone that came to the sales leadership development meeting today is going to be officially invited to this event. So I'll be looking forward to seeing you all there, and make sure you kind of clear out your calendars ahead of time. You can let them know that I invited you. And my last things is just, hey, CFO talks, and make sure you continue performing. Text me hot updates. Continue to get on the radar. And I'm looking forward to seeing who steps up and emerges as leaders. I'll hang out for a couple minutes for anyone that has some Q&A, but we're a little bit over time. So everyone else, you're more than welcome to come. Have an awesome rest of your week, and we'll talk to you all soon. Feel free to post up some light bulbs, by the way, as you wrap up here for today of your biggest takeaways from the meeting. And by the way, actually, one last thing I would wrap up. I want you guys to reach out to your managers. And I would say these a couple quick things. I would text your managers after you finish up this meeting, and I would just text them the kind of following things. Number one, I would let them know that you were invited to the Fall Classic Conference and event. And number two, I would ask them if you're excited about being a part of our alliance, being a part of key staff, or any of those other leadership opportunities. I'd make sure that you ask them about how to get onto your key staff or how to get onto the Secure the Cup push alliance. And continue to text me hot updates. We'll talk with y'all soon. Thanks for coming in today, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for this